flying. And Mary said she can make it.
Yep, that's what I saw.
I don't think
Anna was going to leave her last board meeting and join us a few minutes late. So I am broadcasting right now, so watch what you say.
I don't think Jonathan's going to be able to make it. I
Right.
think he was on a similar, if not the same flight as Zoe.
Yeah, he's on a flight. Okay. So Renee, my question for you is on the voicemail is about getting that cell phone presentation into a 20-minute talk. Hello?
Okay, I don't know what that means.
Okay. We'll talk later. No worries.
Okay.
Okay. All right, do you want to start?
Yeah, you're running the meeting, so go ahead.
Oh, I'm running the meeting. Okay, I thought I was just running a section of it. All right. Julie, you sent a document, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I sent it to Kara, but I also put it in the Google Drive folder that Kristen created last week.
Woo!
And it's called Planning Agenda June 6th.
Awesome. Do you want me to take notes?
Sure, that'd be great.
Kristen, could you do me a favor and add me to that folder? I'm not able to get into it, and
Okay,
I wasn't invited last week.
Okay. Let me go up to my Drive
Yeah, I need
account.
permissions.
And while Kristen's doing that, one of the things that might be helpful at the beginning is just to find out if people have issues they want to cover in this meeting, especially for, I don't know if there's anybody, quote, new here, but if people have questions that by the end of the day they really want to know the answer to, we can add that to what we end up talking about.
Okay.
Okay, who said they still don't have access?
That was me, Kara.
And Kara, are you using the THTV?
Video at Gmail.
You got it. I think what I'll do is I'll just copy everyone.
So I have a very important question, Julie and Renee. Will they be serving the root vegetables again at lunch?
What was that, Kara?
Said, will they be serving the root vegetables again at lunch?
Yes, and they were heavenly, weren't they?
And I've made them several times since then, but I got to get this recipe finessed a little bit.
Yep.
Well, if you liked last year's menu, you'll like this year's because it's exactly the same.
Perfect. That's so cool. All right.
But we can add more root vegetables.
Now I'll just call the chef again and see what I can work out with him.
So Renee, I wasn't sure if you were going to be here. I thought you were traveling too, so I don't know if you skipped down the list. Have things you wanted to add to the agenda?
All right, I got the agenda.
Can somebody? I'm actually driving, so can somebody read the agenda out loud to me?
Sure, I'll be happy to.
Thank you.
Questions you want addressed by the end of the day, and that's if people want to add to it. Agenda item number 2, update on registered participants. Do you want me to read through the individual bullets?
You can just, for that one, you can put the big category because that would be updating if we went through that.
Okay, so we're at 120, maybe 130 right now. Faculty roles. There's Tier 2 with Charlie, Jonathan, and Dave. There's Tier 1 with a bunch of dyads. Renee, Julie, Kristen, me, Diana, Mary, and probably Jill Kastek. Stephanie's on as a researcher. Zoe's on as a documentarian. Questions about your role in Design Studio. Kara and Diana will explain. When will we explain that?
So yeah, so just just so Renee knows, I mean, the big categories are update on registered participants, the faculty roles that Kara was just kind of listing a few things, the schedule and 2 of the large group activities, like if we want to replace the marshmallow activity, what's the goal and what do we do, and the Tuesday group activity, and then I just put something at the very end about if we have time, just hearing about people's certain expertise, especially if you're new to the group, so that we make sure that we include kind of your idea as we craft the whole agenda, that everybody's represented as a faculty member in their areas of expertise.
Okay. All right.
That sounds good. I just want to do a little update on the Rhode Island Foundation, so add that to the list.
Perfect. Yep, we have great. We have a little spot for that, so I'll.
Are you doing that, Julie?
Yeah. So I'll just give you a quick update on well, let's just go to the first one. Is there anything else at this point that people wanted to add to the agenda?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of participants at this point, technically we've got about 120 currently. That means in the system, I think we have 104.
That's correct.
Of those, we have 67 kind of regular attendees. 24 of those, I'm sorry, yes, 24 of those are for graduate credit. So
wow!
Just to give you a feel, there's 18 Tier 1 people for graduate credit, and there's 6 people signed up for credit for Tier 2, but there's another 12 others. So we have 18 people who will be in the room with the Tier 2, you know, Charlie's content.
Right.
And then we've got 18 of the 67, I'm sorry, 18 plus the 67 that are for the graduate credit for Tier 1.
Okay.
We've got 5 faculty or one-day kind of folks, just, you know, so we represent those people. We've got 18 presenters. I know we have 2 more that Renee and I were talking about that I think Michael Rob Greco and Janine, who will probably add to that list. We've got 6 comps. And then we have 10 people from Lincoln who are in the process of paying with a purchase order. I don't want to definitely guarantee they're paying because they haven't paid yet.
Yeah, I haven't put through their registrations yet until I see the deal. I've got the list of 8 of the 11. One of the 11 includes Resident Clifton, who they're going to reimburse. I was told that we were supposed to approve the PO at last night's Lincoln School Committee meeting, but I haven't seen any email from the Lincoln contact yet.
Okay, great. So that comes with 120, and then if we have the 10 possible Providence teachers, that would bring us to 130 plus whatever faculty members we have, which are somewhere between 12 or 13. So, Renee, do you want to give us a little update on the Rhode Island Foundation people?
Yeah, we wrote a proposal for $80,000 that would support 10 teachers coming for the Summer Institute, and then a year-long follow-up targeted to 2 middle school teachers at 2 middle schools. The focus of that initiative is on aligning digital literacy with the Males of Color initiative, the effort that the Providence Public Schools has to address the inequities, the racial inequities around the high proportion of African American boys who drop out. And so about 20,000 of the costs would kind of support participation.
Renee, we keep losing you. I don't know if... Did we totally lose you?
She's
Sorry,
still there.
sorry. Uh-oh. Sorry. I'm
Can you repeat?
in a rural area, so it's probably not working that great.
Do you want
The
us to?
bottom line is I'll know on Thursday, Julie, if we get the grant.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
That's great. So you've sent it off to the Rhode Island Foundation? Oh, that's
Yep.
great. Okay. And you included 10 teachers in that? Okay. All right.
Yep.
I think Diana just popped in somewhere.
Good.
Hi.
Diana.
So Julie, I'm trying to get you had 67 regular attendees plus 24 for graduate credit?
Yes. Yep. So some of that's just a budgetary issue. So yeah, 67 are paying $700 and 24 additional people are paying the $1,050.
Got it. So that's 18 tier 1 and 6 tier 2, and then the 12 others?
So the 12 others that just helps us know that there's actually 18 people who are signed up for tier 2 because they kind of go off into a different part of the area.
Got it.
Only 6 of them are
going to
responsible
graduate.
for grades, if you will.
Okay.
All right, so the next little piece is faculty roles, and I just listed a few things here just to kind of give us a sense of where we are with numbers and who might be where, but again, that's not decided as much as trying to just figure out where everybody goes. So at this point, I'm kind of making the assumption, so definitely Charlie kind of, creates much of the content for tier 2. I'm assuming that Jonathan is going to want to be there for most of that, and that Dave, in addition to kind of helping to run everything, that Dave may be there to be able to support the tier 2 people. The rest of us, and I know Mary Moen maybe isn't here right now, so Mary mentioned possibly kind of joining in for part of tier 2. So what we're trying to figure out the dynamics of the numbers are right now with 120 people. If 20 are in tier 2, that means there's about 100 people who are left in tier 1. And I've been running the numbers on the budget. We're in a pretty good place that we can probably ask Jill to join us. And so that would give us 7 full instructors, if you will. And just doing some rough numbers of 100 people divided by 7 instructors, that would be about 8 to 9 dyads. So about 15 to 16 people per faculty member. So what I thought I would do, mostly because I was interested, to rather than me kind of, and maybe rather than Renee saying what we think the roles of people who work in Design Studio are, I'd be interested to hear Diana and Kara's perspective as coming from tier 1 and in tier 2, what you think the role of the Design Studio facilitator should be, could be, before we just kind of dictate what it needs to be.
Okay. Diana, do you want to go first?
No! No, I really haven't thought about it because, last year I was nicely absorbed in tier 2.
Right.
Didn't see what was going on in tier 1, but of course I do remember it, and I'm a process person. I need to think first. So
I don't. I never think first. So. We all know that. All right. So
give me a moment.
Why don't you think, and I'll shoot from the hip here.
All right, you go for it.
All right. So the role of the Design Studio facilitator is to, at the beginning, to make sure that each of the dyads have a plan for a final product at the end. that's hopefully something that they can implement in their job, in their classroom, their workplace. And I have a cat chewing on my hair, per usual. And then the coordinator is making sure that there's a good plan, kind of following the flower model curriculums, and that there's a tool that they can use that will help add to the curriculum design that they're doing during the week. And then the rest of it is a checking in, every day or multiple times a day, being available to help, making suggestions on different tools that might work well for the project, and keeping them focused and keeping them from getting, really antsy on Wednesday.
And keeping them realistic.
Yeah, realistic. It's not going to, and reminding them also that this does not have to be a final, finished, polished piece on Friday. It's something that is a work in progress. Am I?
Sounds good. Diana, do you have additional thoughts, or?
Well, I guess some of the things that come to mind are, I guess you were dealing with a lot of interpersonal dynamics and trying to, calm those ahead of time, that this project is supposed to be something that's going to be helpful to them, and not a top-down, you have to impress us and you have to meet certain benchmarks, but you need to be comfortable with what you produce. And so it's really about process and meeting your needs. And so I think there was a lot of anxiety the last couple of years over the project itself. And I think, keeping people realistic and make sure this serves you and something that you can carry on in your school. And I agree with Kara that it doesn't have to be polished. So I guess I would be sensitive to that.
All right. Dave, I know you've been there a year or two. Any thoughts about what you think is helpful for the facilitator to be doing or not doing?
I think that Diana and Kara gave a really nice overview. I think the facilitator's role again is to keep the group calm, keep them focused, ask kind of probing questions that will help move them forward. But also one thing I would add would be kind of a broker, listening to what they're trying to do and what their ideas are, and then maybe connecting them to either one of the people one of our coordinators like us, or perhaps another one of the presenters who might be able to show them an idea. I think, even long-term, how do we help people make connections that last beyond just the week, and so that they can constantly stay in contact with each other throughout the year?
So can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
So within the design studio, you're going to be working with your dyads, correct?
Right.
So whoever you're assigned are going to be the people that you flesh through design studio with, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Although there might be an occasion where, and that's why I want to make sure everybody knows each other's area of expertise. If I know, let's say Kristen's really good at Google Docs, I don't know, and I have a dyad who, I don't know, has either a management question or some ideas, I might say, you know what, I'm going to point you over to Kristen, who's over there at table 7, and she may provide some ideas. So it's kind of a back and forth. We are, it's not that we're necessarily responsible for them and that we have to teach them everything, as much as we just want to make sure that everybody has somebody to go to.
Gotcha.
If it ends up they're going to go to somebody else because they like them better, then that's fine.
Yeah, one of the frustrating things about Julie is she doesn't give you the answers. She gives you the resources so that you can figure them out for yourself and make the best matches.
I think one thing.
Go ahead.
One thing I kind of like to stress within Design Studio, and I think we've done a good job of this, but it's good to keep the eye on the ball, is the audience factor of the, really trying to keep students in mind. People are going to see a lot of really cool tools and be tempted to focus on that.
Right.
But we have some really fantastic seminars that help to kind of put the learning at the focus, and sometimes I think that's a good, helpful reminder, particularly as a former participant, to make sure that we're not letting the tools drive the learning and drive the Design Studio so much as the pedagogy, and who are our students and what needs are we trying to help them meet.
So I'm curious, I'm just realizing that not everybody knows Charlie, so I don't know if, Charlie, you want to introduce yourself and maybe mention what you think as a facilitator might be useful in the Design Studio, even in Tier 1 from your perspective?
Hi, everybody. I haven't seen everybody yet, but I think I've heard the perfect answers already. I don't really have anything to add. I mean, facilitate means to make easy, so if people are struggling, you're there to make things easier for them. And then I think Kara added this idea of some accountability, so that people like to report out and to deliver something to their, informal. You're sort of a leader, and that's a way to test things out. But yeah, I think Dave hit on it in terms of people getting so wrapped up around the product instead of the process and the learning that happens in the process. That that's something that everybody should keep in mind, because it is a lot of pressure you have to deliver. Which I think there's a balance between that pressure, which produces great results, and the fact that you want to learn and not be so driven by the results. So I think, what I heard was perfect.
So, Renee, given the things that you've been focusing on with Stephanie and Jonathan, then some of the research variables, is there anything that you think we should, have everybody be doing in their groups to enhance any of those kinds of ideas?
Yeah, I guess I would just underline that our unique selling proposition is not technology integration, and our unique selling proposition is an expanded conceptualization of literacy. So this idea that emphasizing reading comprehension and critical analysis, as well as creative student-centered learning, that I think that is the value proposition. I think we decided that one thing we're becoming increasingly aware of here in Rhode Island is that we do want to differentiate ourselves from blended learning and technology integration and really focus on the literacy practices. So I think in my part of the work this year, I'm going to try to make sure that gets a lot more emphasis. And I also obviously want to I'm going to make a big deal about the homeschool connection, because I think that has not gotten as much emphasis as it might need to get. But in terms of the research outcomes, I think we have we're working on a pretty nice design that has a great mix of, basically the argument is, when teachers use digital tools and they understand the big, ideas behind digital literacy, they gain confidence, and the confidence supports their taking risks and experimenting. And then that ultimately fuels their feelings of leadership. So essentially, that's the model we're exploring this year, using, pre-test, post-test, and delayed post-test data.
And I wanted to add, and it's funny that Charlie said facilitators should make the process easier, because as Diana suggested, maybe part of me, and I know Dave Quinn would laugh, but I think part of the beauty and the uniqueness of the Institute is that we create a challenge that isn't necessarily solved by turning to us as facilitators. It's really where we turn it back. And for me, the product at the end of the week isn't only about the digital product. It's much more about the product of being able to work together with somebody for a week to take an idea and put it into some kind of practice. And so some of the struggle is when the dyads meet on Sunday and Monday and decide to be partners, they quickly realize that they're from different places and they have different needs. And so it often ends up that their product is some kind of, quote, compromise, where it's a middle ground of something that they might not, either of them, literally take that product and use it in their classroom. But they, at the end of the week, can say, I did this. I can struggle. I can work with somebody I don't know. And I can go back to my school and do the same thing again, but apply it to something that's very much something that I need to do directly in my classroom. And I don't know how other people feel about that, if that's something that everybody agrees on, but that's definitely a message that I try to facilitate in my own whatever dyads I kind of am responsible for. So I don't know what people have thoughts about that. Or
I think that's a really good point, and actually a point that I didn't hear in my first year there, and I think that's it's something that we should really emphasize this year, because it is true that we might end up compromising with our end product and design studio for Friday, but if we're going to take the leadership role, then we should be able to say, okay, there's this piece and that piece from that group over there that I can put together in my own classroom, and how can I use it for the students' benefit and for my own. So I think that that's a statement that we really need to say out loud.
I agree with what Kara and both what Kara and Julie had to say in terms of that the collaborative piece in learning how to collaborate is perhaps more important than whatever product and kind of the learning that comes out, because that's what's going to enhance, years moving forward. I would say two things. Number one, perhaps maybe if we could find some time for some types of collaboration strategies. I know I've got a bunch from the Disney Imagineers Handbook that might be helpful in terms of framing kind of like yes and yes if strategies to build off of each other's ideas, even if they're from different spaces. On the same token, perhaps we could spend some more time or develop strategies to help people find folks who are in similar situations to make and I know we have that kind of that dating game on Sunday night, but to help people connect, like if they're two math teachers or if they're two teachers who are working in urban or rural settings, so that way they can not only learn collaboration skills, but to try to make it a little bit more purposeful. But again, I think we do a good job as it is, but always room for improvement.
It's really important to me to hear what vision we have for the outcomes for our participants. And what I'm hearing is kind of more of a leadership model than a grassroots nuts and bolts model. And so I guess I would turn to Charlie and say, I came away with a few of your books, which are still right here in my bedroom. Is there one book we ought to kind of review and have at our fingertips for, we're facilitating, what we're facilitating, I think, is leadership in a new field. And probably leadership is maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the overarching themes here, because it doesn't matter. I mean, we want a solid product, but it's more about process and working together and going back and being able to be leaders in our field when we go back. So, Charlie, what do you think? What should we review?
Well, Dave Quinn knows the answer I'm going to give. We've looked at a lot of books. The Leadership Challenge and the 5 Practices of Exemplary Leaders has been vetted by us for 5 years now, and the problem with leadership is there's so many opinions and so many variables and ways people interpret leadership. But the 5 Practices of Exemplary Leaders, which is you model the way, you enable others to act, you inspire a shared vision, you challenge the process, and you encourage the heart. And those 5 practices have been vetted more than any other leadership model out there. I would challenge anybody to say a model that's broader and more used than the Kouzes and Posner model. So if we wanted to unify around a model, I would make a strong push for the 5 practices. If we want to unify around a model that we talked about last year, which really I thought served us pretty well, it was the collaboration, creativity, and curation, which is kind of, for lack of a, I don't know that we have the flower model, and then Tier 2 kind of had that, we called it a triangle of collaboration, curation, and creativity, and with leadership kind of in the center of that. Change management was obviously a 4th C that a lot of people kind of got really engaged in because you're trying to make change in your schools and your libraries. But those 3 kind of seemed to resonate as we moved forward. But I agree that that certainly is something we want to do, is have a unifying model, because as an outsider or a semi-outsider, the challenge I would present to all of you is to simplify and to reduce. We tend to, you have a lot of bright people with a lot of great ideas, and it's overwhelming. So that if we keep adding ideas and thoughts, people just throw their arms up, because we have to remember that this is new to everybody else, and even though we know stuff and we know various ways to approach it, people want to get the simple, easy answer that's been vetted by someone who studied it already. And so that's what I can offer with leadership to some extent, but that's my 2 cents, and that also bleeds into the next thing on the agenda, which is what Tier 2 is going to be all about. So I've already started working with Jonathan and talk to Dave, but I need to do that in more earnest ways. But right now, our overview, I posted that. Julie showed me the site that Kristen set up, and I posted the overview from last year of the Leadership Tier 2. And the other thing I think we need to think about, since Tier 2 was just starting out last year, finding ways to have more integration between the 2 tiers. Last year we did great. The Tier 2 folks did a great job with the unconference, but if we could do that, in a greater ways to integrate the 2. I know some folks in Tier 2 felt like they missed out on some cool things happening in Tier 1, and so I think that's one of my challenges, is to see how we can not sacrifice a ton of time, because that was one of the big ahas for me, was the reduced amount of time I have. I'm used to 40 hours with people over a week, and that just wasn't in the formula. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for the opening.
So Renee, I wondered if you might talk just a little more about, and I think one of the, by listening to the keynotes every day and the digging deeper sessions, it kind of teaches us all about the common language. And so I think we definitely have kind of this inquiry approach to literacy and digital literacy, but I know one thing that both Renee and I have kind of struggled with and are hoping to put in more of is an emphasis on this close reading, analysis, this stuff, the thinking that happens before a participant might produce something. So Renee, I don't know if you have some common language that you wanted to introduce everybody to as a way to kind of just have us all be saying something similar, or if we're even ready for that, or...
Yeah, I'm probably this year going to introduce the 5 core concepts of media literacy, because I do feel like when we did the screencast activity last year, I could definitely see the absence of them not having that. They don't know how to talk about representation. They don't know how to talk about how messages are constructed. So
I do think I want to emphasize that. I'm now trying to think about an activity for the Digging Deeper session on my day that scaffolds that.
Okay.
Hey, Renee, is it possible to have us do it in some way, shape, or form?
Oh, it's absolutely. We are definitely going to do it. Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
But I feel like the thing we did last year was a little too complicated, so I want to do something that forces us into dialogue to analyze and then create, but isn't as that is more likely to get done in the time limit, because that was really our problem. Is
Gotcha.
Our team struggled to get it done in the short time period. So I've got I'm percolating.
All right, so I think if we're going to move on for the sake of time to think a little bit about. There's two holes. Hey, Mary.
I want to do something that forces us into dialogue to analyze and then create.
Oh,
but it has
so Mary, it sounds like
more likely to get
you and you.
time limit, because that was really our problem. Our team.
Mary, I think you're watching the broadcast.
So I'm percolating.
Hang on.
Okay.
Mary, turn your radio down.
So
That caller.
we're going to move on for the sake of time to think a little.
Here, I just muted Mary for now until she could. Oh, where'd she go?
Went away. Really muted
You
her.
really muted her.
You booted her. You didn't mute her.
Hey, can we go back while we're waiting for her to come back? Because I really liked the idea that David had about trying to do more at the beginning of the week to get groups that are really well, that can gel well, and that don't kind of force, that there's no forced connection between them, so that they really can create products that will be meaningful. Because I know there were a couple of groups, and I was not there for a real long time last year, but there were a couple of groups that they really didn't have a whole ton in common. And so it was hard for them to see outside their own role. Whereas sometimes if you're working with someone, even if it's just like we both are elementary teachers or we both are at a middle school level, even if they're teaching different subject areas, I think having some sort of common connection might help alleviate some of the...
Yeah, it's always a challenge, and I mean, one thing we can be thinking about are more ways to get people connected earlier on. And when it comes right down to it, it always ends up there's certain individuals for either personality reasons or job reasons or whatever, they kind of they're by themselves, and so it just kind of ends up that everybody's working with a partner, and the tricky part then is how do we keep them moving forward even though they might not have a lot in common? And so definitely I think there were ways, and there are other ways that we could give opportunities for people to find things in common, and then we just deal with it, you know, because often, or I guess sometimes in a school, we might not have a lot in common, and we just have to work with somebody because we have to get something done. So I don't know. Did people like the activity that Joyce did last year? The kind of meeting. I don't remember what the heck interface she created to kind of date people or something, speed dating or something like that.
Can I interject for a minute?
Sure.
I've already made the suggestions. So let me just make it to the group, and I'm really pushing it. The activity that comes from Critical Friends, which is the personality compass, north, south, east, west compass points, is a really, really great way that even maybe before the speed dating would be a way for people to get an idea of what different people's personalities are like, and then move into the speed dating based on some knowledge that they have about, okay, now I know why this person might choose to do or act or process something differently than myself. I don't know if that's... It's worked really well at the first day of class with students. It worked really well with it's worked really well with adults. in different faculty positions.
So might that be an idea on the second page of that Google Docs? So we've got these two group activities. I mean, we have the Sunday group activity, and what we've used before, and I'm going to jot this down here, is the kind of get people going with the horoscope. Think about motivations and things like that. So the question is on Monday to replace the marshmallow activity. I think, and I put this here, but I'm open to other kinds of goals. But I think whatever we do needs to address the goals that we set. So if we think that the Monday group activity, the goal is to kind of get some quick teamwork building and problem solving and quick opportunities to be successful, then do we have ideas? And then the second one, and I don't know, Kara, this might fit in with the second one, or the second Tuesday group activity could be a replacement for the longer people design studio on Tuesday, where we were trying to really introduce people to the different the personality preferences and the strengths and the differences that people bring to a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if what you're talking about, Kara, might address one of those goals better than another, or if there's other activities, but those are the two things that we kind of have to fill in with something.
So I actually posted a link to the activity that she was talking about.
Yeah.
In the Google Doc.
Yep.
I think the north, south, east, west activity could very well be a good Tuesday activity also. It definitely, people have started, it has its place in that point of the week. People have chosen their partner, and maybe that's a good place for it.
And how long could we fit it?
It's like a 30,
about an hour.
It's definitely under an hour. I mean, with 100 people, it might be a little bit more than 30 minutes, but it's definitely not an hour.
And I think we have in the schedule right now about 45 minutes.
Okay, let me pull this up right now. It goes through how much time. I think we can probably do it in somewhere between 35 and 45 minutes.
All right. So if we were to do that kind of thing on Tuesday, do people have ideas for what might work for this Monday kind of let's just bring everybody together and feel good and celebrate and be productive in an hour kind of thing?
And, you know, the nice thing about the marshmallow activity is it gets people to laugh, which is a good thing on a Monday. So I got to check something while we're doing this.
Well, here's a question, and Renee, please chime in.
I think she left the call.
Part of me wonders if we want to dare to do the marshmallow activity again. Are people thinking there's enough there to try it again, or I know, Renee, you've mentioned that we really, and is Renee still there?
I think she left.
Okay, so so what is everybody's thoughts? The people that were there last year, is there value in doing the marshmallow activity again?
Dave?
You know, I guess I'm kind of at the point where I'm seeing it pop up so frequently that it's that if we have time and we can find a different challenge, I'm actually looking through some of the resources that I have. I think it might be worthwhile. I think that's our fire extinguisher. In case of emergency, we can't find anything else, we break the glass and we pull out the marshmallow challenge.
Okay.
But otherwise,
What's
I'd like
the marshmallow challenge?
So
I'll pull it up and link it in.
The very short version is everybody there. You work in a group and everybody gets a bag of like spaghetti. There's like 7 pieces of spaghetti, a couple of strands of masking tape, and a marshmallow. And you have to work together in, I think, 12 or 15 minutes or something to build the tallest tower.
Yeah.
And then at the end, so everybody's up and moving around and engaged. You feel successful even if your tower falls, in a sense. And then there's a little bit of reflection, and so it's a very active. Everybody's up, moving around, and people really do start to kind of gel together at their table as a group.
The one thing I would ask is, are we trying to abandon the marshmallows because we've done it 2 or 3 times? Because I hadn't done it before this event. My kids at school have now done it, but you've got to be careful not to throw out something that works for 100 people who have never been there before. So going back to the goals, what's the goal of the event? Bring people together. Certainly people rose to the top as leaders and followers, and so if we can define what the goal is for that certain segment of time, maybe the only people who are tired of it are us.
Well, I'm going to agree with Dave in that it is popping up in a lot of different conferences.
Okay.
I thought 2 years ago I brought it to my classroom, thought I was so cool and unique because I found this thing out in Rhode Island. And the science teacher down the hall was doing the exact same thing. So it is fun. I think, but I do think, even the kids have done it before, kind of thing. So I don't know how many of this 120-ish people are brand new.
Probably about 100 of them.
Oh, well, then maybe it's worth going for again.
Before we decide one way or the other, are there any other activities at this point that we think address this goal of building teamwork and problem solving, opportunities to kind of be collaborative, and I would also say an opportunity for people to be up on their feet, moving around and hands-on building, so that they get the idea early on Monday that we're not going to sit and talk at you for 3 hours every day.
My school is all about this, and I just need a couple of days to touch base with our leaders in this field, and I might be able to come up with something, so give me a couple of days.
I was looking online, and there's some similar activity, like you give everybody a package, a roll of tin foil, and they build a tallest structure. And I saw a video of that, and people are really moving around, and it's very organic and creative. Another one, I happen to like puzzles, so this one is each group gets a 100-piece puzzle, like a pretty easy puzzle, but there's 2 versions. One is one puzzle piece is missing, but it's at somebody else's table. So if you're putting your puzzle together and you realize one is missing, then you have to go and interact, somehow work as a group and go around and try to find which table has your missing piece, and other people are coming to your table to find which missing, if you have their missing piece. And you can do it up to 5 missing pieces is what I've read. So what I like about that is you're interacting with other tables more. With the Marshmallow Challenge, you're just kind of with your table, and you're looking over at other people's tables, but you're not actually talking to them that much. But to defend the Marshmallow Challenge, that debriefing, that video where the guy talks is really powerful, where he talks about building a prototype and kindergartners versus,
I'm sorry, am I the only one who can't hear what Mary's saying?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So keep going, and then maybe we can, Mary, maybe at some point, just so we have some way to kind of measure at the end or decide, what might you be able to, in the Google Docs agenda, just make a sentence or two about the features of what you just talked about, so that we can look at the pros and cons of one activity or another and which one might best address the goal.
Yes.
So I actually pasted, there's a couple that I pasted in, so these are Kristen's contributions. So one is called Hot Chocolate Swamp, and it uses carpet squares, and they have to move, like they have to get their team from one area to another area, so you can do it like with a group of 100 people, you do it in groups of 10. where you have to do your people from one, or 20 even, to get them from one to the other. The second one is called Broken Squares, and it's a very similar to Mary's puzzle activity, except where you have to do it without talking, so you have to find other ways to communicate with your groups so that you can get the information. And then there was another, that was called Broken Squares. And then the other one that I put in, it's called the Checks Lab, and this is another one. It's kind of like a creating your story. So each group has like 20 checks in an envelope that are written out, and the lab is actually there that you can actually pre-print it. And you draw a certain number of checks, and then you work with your team to try to draft the story of what you think is going on based on the checks that you draw out of the envelope. And then everyone shares out their idea, or you could even do it like a small group share where you partner with another team and you share the information that you have in your story. So it starts them kind of thinking about it. So it's another way that you can kind of get to know one another, work together with the team. There is no real story. Like, people at the end want to know what the story is. It's just a really fun way of analyzing information, right? Critical thinking. So those are a couple that I have used in the past. And I have a tinfoil towers. I'm looking for a link online to that.
Carpet Squares idea is, I hadn't even thought about that. That would be so much fun. I mean, it doesn't have to be carpet squares. It could be pieces of paper.
Right.
And that second half of the back half of the room could be cleared so that we move from, we called it the Raging River activity, move from one side of the Raging River to the other side of the Raging River, and make your way across with maybe 10 people go at a time, and all the rest of the 90 people are helping everybody else get across without falling into the river, so to speak. But that could be a lot of fun too.
I read about this other one. It's where you have your teams, and you have you place a garbage can somewhere in the room, and from wherever they are, they have certain instructions. They can only take 1 step forward, 2 steps forward, turn right 45, turn left 45, raise your arm and drop paper. And from where they're sitting, they have to figure out how many steps forward are they going to take, or how many right turns or left turns, but they can't get up and measure to the garbage can. They're just doing it from their table. And then you share out, everyone hands in what the directions that they think it would take to get from their table to the garbage can, and then one person from that table, they read the directions out, and the person goes, and you see how close you are to really coming up with the directions to get to the garbage can. And everybody's watching other people, and you laugh and stuff. You know, I worry about the carpet squares with 120 people in that room. That is like, moving around too much there is kind of weird. But with this game, with the trying to put your paper in the trash, you want to have tables in the way, because you want people to say, okay, that table's there. They're going to have to turn left 45, take 3 steps to get by it, turn right 40, you know, like that kind of thing. Or can you imagine it? I put it on the agenda, just if anyone wants to read it.
Julie, was that still mute for you?
I'm sorry. For some reason, I'm hearing like just a lot of garbled nothing. So,
can you hear from any of us, or just from, you can't hear from Mary?
Yeah, I think it must just be a connection on our side. It's just a lot of garble. So I'm just wondering at this point, since we're getting close to an hour, we can certainly stay a little longer. But if people have ideas, to put them up here, and then maybe we can all agree to just kind of look within those ideas and think about the pros and cons in relation to our goal. And then maybe when we come back for the next meeting, I think in 2 weeks, maybe, and I'm wondering if you can even hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Does that sound like a reasonable way to kind of move forward?
And I was just going to suggest, and I couldn't hear either, it's not Julie's hearing, that I've been working with Project Adventure for about 20 years, and they do a lot of experiential kind of exercises and learning. And really, if everybody suggested like one exercise that they think would work best, think of the fact that there's 100 people, and also think of how would you process and instruct 100 people to do the exercise, because it's a whole new realm when you're trying to do it with that many people and trying to corral everybody. So if everybody just suggested like their top exercise that they think could take the place of the spaghetti or marshmallow exercise, then you could probably winnow it down. And then whoever's going to do it, you have to have really good instruction.
I just lost Julian. Are you guys there?
I lost him.
I did too.
Okay.
She's writing on our agenda.
No, I am. Kristen is.
Oh,
Okay.
I saw Julie's name.
So I mean,
maybe.
Charlie makes a good point. Those adventure challenge activities are, I mean, they're meant for like 20 people or so. Julie's back?
There.
Julie's back.
Yay.
Okay, yay. Can you hear us, Julie?
I can. You're all like real people now.
Hey.
So yeah, so I guess
we moved the conference to Newport. We're going to all be out on the beach.
good. Anybody taking over planning so I can go on vacation?
No,
so
sorry.
it sounds like we're each going to pick our very favorite activity, given the goals that we have, given the feasibility of thinking that that could actually work in the closed space we have with nominal types of materials, and that can happen in a short amount of time. And then once we get those up there, maybe Renee or send out a message in another week or so to have everybody look and I don't know, vote or at least come to some kind of agreement when we have our next meeting. Does that sound like a plan?
That's fine.
Okay.
Fine with.
So in the last, go ahead.
Well, we missed a whole bunch of the conference today, so I will send you the link to the broadcast so you can pick up on the last 20 minutes that you missed.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, hi, Renee.
Renee's back and Jonathan's here too, right?
I'm back.
Maybe.
Jonathan looks.
Thank God we can watch the. Thank God we can watch the parts we missed. Sorry, my phone died. I had to power it back up.
No problem. So, Renee, just to recap, we've spent the last half hour or so talking about various activities for Monday and Tuesday. And we're going to all suggest one activity that would meet the goals of the Institute of Collaboration and Processing, etc., but will be manageable with 120 plus bodies in that room.
Charlie, what was the name of the activity we did where we collaborated and competed? What was that called?
Charlie, the one where we did the wrestling or whatever, the hearing.
Oh, the epic battle, crazy one, where you did Rochambeau, the rock paper scissors, and you had cheer from other people.
One of the things I loved about that is I feel like one of the things I loved about that was that was high energy. And I do think that a fun quotient that is high energy is a plus.
Wednesday or sometime, there's always that lull in the week where we just need a quick pickup after lunch or something to kind of get people going again.
I like that later in the week because people know each other a little better and it's more fun. People are a little looser.
So I just added that, I put it under Tuesday's group activity, but I put later in the week just as a note. So,
Renee, you remind me of something too. I know Jen, I forget her, Jillian was doing like exercises and stuff. So maybe we intersperse that and let other people do like that was my pick me up, but maybe every day, and you don't just do exercises, but other people do like a pick me up thing beyond just that one Energizer. And maybe it's not just exercises, but Jillian comes in for a portion and that kind of thing.
So I
like that idea a lot.
I took everybody's ideas out of the days and I put them into on, I don't know what page it is, but it's number 4, schedule and large group activity, and I said activities similar to Marshmallow, and I posted all of the links and directions in there, and then I put an area for Energizer activities, and then I had that Critical Friends Digital Compass, which would be good for the beginning of the week.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. All right, so I don't know how much time everybody has left, but maybe if we think for 30 seconds and then each person offers 1 minute or so of, if we have another 10, do people have about 10 minutes left?
I actually need to go pick my daughter up dance. I just got the text that said I'm done and I'm waiting.
Okay. So Kristen, do you have 30 seconds to just say, do you have a particular area of expertise that you'd like to somehow weave into the week?
Wow.
And if you don't, that's okay.
No, I have all kinds of things rumbling around in my head. I mean, I think if you just gave me a time slot to fill, I could fill it, whether it's an Energizer or directing one of these activities. But I think we need to kind of create that cohesive, kind of collaborative group as a leadership team, as a staff team. I think that we want the participants, and I think the more we can exude that, the more they'll be into the other stuff, the crazy stuff we want them to do.
Great.
Oh, and let me just say on Kristen's behalf, having seen her do the copyright workshop 800,000 times, she is brilliant at it, and teachers feel incredibly relieved and grateful to have her explain copyright and fair use to them. And that plus the fact that she is my tech guru. So, I feel like you're just being able to have the doctor is in session with Kristen. Every single one of you should schedule. I think, Kristen, we should set you up in a booth that says the tech doctor is in, and you should do a, Lucy and the psychiatrist thing.
Well, that's
because you have always taught me so many things just elbow to elbow. So I feel like your unique talent would really be put to well use in both of those areas.
Okay.
And that'll be great then. We will make sure, especially if people have particular questions, I'm happy to say, hey, you know what? Go see Kristen, because I don't know any of those.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that on. All right, I got to hop off and run to dance.
Okay. Thank you very much.
It never ends.
Bye, Kristen.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so who would like to go next with their expertise?
I'll chime in. I think my expertise is kind of being a broker, which is either me being able to help the individual with my own skill set, but also being aware of what other people are good at and making those types of introductions. So it kind of goes back into that connected learning piece and just helping people to build their networks.
Cool. All right.
My greatest strength is probably being a good listener, and I'm going to do my homework and read the reference that Charlie gave me so that I have these mantras in my head that support what the Institute's goal is through proven, here are your 5 tools, and I, just sit back and empower them, run interference, but I'm a listener and a facilitator and then I have a lot of nuts and bolts experience in how you make things happen. But so I think that's what I'm going to do.
We'll give you all the dysfunctional dyads. Diana, you can be an expert at keeping them calm.
Well, I will try. I always look. My glass is half full.
And that is something, before we keep going, just so people know, every day is kind of a learning experience for us, and we really try to customize and recustomize as each new day comes. And so we do take time at the end of each day to meet as a group to kind of go through what worked that day, what we're struggling with, and quite often, you know, I might say, you know, I've got this dyad and I just can't figure it out, and then somebody says, you know what, let me work with them tomorrow. And so that's some of that flexibility that I think we're all very good at, which is why we asked you to be part of the faculty. Is there might be an occasion where we have to change plans, and we realize we had X on the schedule for the next day, and we meet the night before, and we change things up on the wiki, and we say, you know what, we need some new experts to do something, and we're just going to, I'm sure we know people are really good at just kind of stepping up to the plate and winging it. So, Mary or Kara, who else left?
How many are Rhode Islanders that signed up? Do we have a breakdown?
We've got a lot, but I don't know, Dave. I don't know if you have even a remote idea of that.
Or how many are librarians, school librarians? We don't know.
We don't know all that yet.
Yeah, well, I have a good set. I mean, I can get that number to you in 20 minutes or so.
All right. Well, I was going to say my strength is I think I'm the only school. Wait, no, Diana, are you a librarian, Diana? No. No. Okay, so I'm the only school librarian here, and I know a lot of people in Rhode Island, so I feel like I'm going to be able to connect with these people. I've also been in a one-to-one school. It's we handed the kid, all 1,150 kids MacBook Airs, so I've got a lot of practical experience. I've worked with teachers from all different skill levels and interest levels. So I think I'm just going to really work on facilitating and getting people to, I'm going to ask them better questions this year I want to make it a little more rigorous, my interaction with people, to get them to move along on what digital literacy is and and their vision of it. So.
Thanks. And Kara?
I think my level of expertise is being the Rhode Island guinea pig. That's a joke between Julie and myself, but I think that I can provide a lot of I've been there, I've done that kind of background. I've been to the 2 institutes, I've been in the grad classes, so that's one area that I'm pretty sure I think you'll have some people who will need that with questions about how the certificate program has worked, etc. And then as far as my everyday skill set, the media literacy and video production background is something that I know a lot about.
One thing I would love to have is a map of each person's expertise, so so that I can steer people toward the people who have the answers.
Can we also do this for the participants as well? Like have them make a like a listing of some sort. I mean, it might be too complex for this year, but if a participant has a certain expertise, maybe that would be helpful information to have to say, hey, you could go talk to Mark Davis about infographics, or having some sort of collection of, make the participant empowered to be also a teacher as well, beyond just the presenters.
We can do it.
That's a really great idea. That's a really, really great idea, and we could do that with kind of a word wall type activity, where you had to fill out your Post-it sheet. And of course, we know how much fun they loved the dating Padlet wall on the first night. So I like the idea that there's a digital version and maybe a kind of a paper version that lives, in one corner of the room for the week.
Mm-hmm. We could even make that a digital business card almost.
You're a graphic organizer.
Yeah.
I would be interested in helping create that.
Oh, great.
Okay, I think, Diana, we put you in charge of that. Figure that out. Make that happen.
Okay.
Julie, are you still there?
Yeah, I am now. I'm sorry, everybody's garbled, but we just came back. So, so anybody?
Well, did you miss what Diana's going to be doing?
Something about giving space for participants to indicate their areas of expertise.
Yeah, in some kind of digital format or whatever. Yeah.
That would be a really
also
nice for people to go connect as people. Sorry, Jonathan, go ahead.
Dave, do you want to talk about the several things we said that we'll talk about, or you talked about it already?
Refresh my memory.
We talked about the RISD dorms and registration, open, close.
Oh, yeah.
All the and the liquor. So on the first day.
Yeah, we didn't bring that up here just because I didn't know who was talking about what, so it wasn't part of the more of the content. So we didn't talk about. I don't know how much time people have left. Some people could stay on, or
I don't think we should do logistics on this call.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So I think we're through the agenda. So does anybody happen to remember the next date? Is it like the 24th or something? The 20.
I don't know if I was ever given a date. Is that possible?
All right. Hold on one second.
I don't have anything on my calendar.
I don't have anything on my calendar either.
Thursday, the 20, whatever that last.
Yes, the last Thursday in June was June 25th, which is about 3 days before I leave for Australia.
Right. Okay.
So we had something on the books for 3 o'clock. Does that still work for people, or?
Well, that's my first day off at school, so you can have it.
That works. Was that a yes, Diane? I'm sorry.
That was a yes.
Yeah, I'm done with school, so I can meet anytime that day.
I'm also done, too.
Renee, does that work for you?
She's muted.
For Thursday the 25th?
Yes, that works for me. Thursday at 3 p.m., that works for me.
Perfect. Jonathan?
Yeah, I might be on the train, but I think I can do it.
Okay. And Dave?
I'm good.
All right. So it sounds like a couple of things to do. If people haven't posted their thoughts about an activity, their favorite activity, so we don't have to go through a whole bunch, for the Monday marshmallow activity replacement. And then the Tuesday activity, and then maybe next time we can kind of come to consensus about that. And then I'm guessing some of us might need to talk about logistics in some other meeting. But anything else that we need to cover today?
I'm satisfied.
All right. All right. I think we're all set. Thanks everybody for making time in your day and for your good ideas. And Kara and Diana will be in touch about next steps for presenters, but it sounds like those things are going well.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks a lot, you guys.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.